All right, next thing we have are the transition metals. So this is naming transition metals. What's crazy about transition metals? The charges change, okay? So the charges can be a whole bunch of different things. Now the problem is they give you hints. They kind of hint at what they can be, so you can always figure out what the correct charge is. So we're going to use Roman numerals to indicate the charge. So if we have nickel plus 1, nickel would be nickel, and then just a little I there, Roman numeral 1. All right. That means 1. That means 1. Okay? So that's the difference between nickel 1 and nickel 2. They would use Roman numerals to tell you what it is. Okay. Do we know our Roman numerals? Yes. We need to know at least up to 7. Okay? So, 1. Now, for this chapter, you can put the bars on top if you want to be formal, or you can just draw them as tally marks. That's fine. Either one's completely fine with me. All right? So there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Okay? So the V stands for 5. All right? If you have a tally mark in front of it, that subtracts 1, so that's why that's 4. You can have up to 3 tally marks in a row. That gives you up to 3. Okay, cool. Everybody's good with that, right? Yeah? Okay, what's 10? X. Yeah, we know that from the iPhone, right? Thank you, Apple. What would 9 be? IX. Yeah, IX, right? It would be 1 in front. What would 11 be? No, so they went back to numbers with the iPhone. Now it's the iPhone 11, not X. Anyway, so, copper 2. We would write this as copper 2. Alright. You should put parentheses around it just to make it real specific. That is actually part of the format for it. What's SN? Tin. Tin, good. Tin 4 is IV. What's CR? Chromium. Good, chromium. And that's chromium 3. Copper 1. Iron 2. And then what about PB? What's PB? Lead, yeah. Because lead tastes like peanut butter. Just don't try it. It's also poisonous. All right, lead 4. Good. Okay, now, here's the kicker. Do you see any Roman numerals? No, they don't have the Roman numerals here. You're going to actually have to add the Roman numerals when you name these things, which means the name of it is going to be, well, what's Fe? Iron. Iron, great. What's O? Oxygen. Yeah, but use the ending. Oxide. Oxide, good. And then this. Now, we need to figure out what goes in there, okay? So to do that, you actually do what we just did with that whole like grid thing, but you're gonna work backwards, all right? So you fill in what you know, and then you kind of like, all right, get the answer. So I'm gonna write this over here just so it's a little bit bigger. So we have Fe2O3, all right? And then I'm gonna draw my grid, bless you. I'm gonna change the color just so it's a little easier for you to see. We know that we need charges up here. We already have these numbers down here, which, all right, so that's filled in for you. And then we need these down here, and they need to equal something, all right? So we need to fill in all that stuff. Now, do we know any of the charges? You know oxygen, right? What's oxygen always? -2. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is figure that out, all right? Once you know this, you can figure this out, right? So the next thing you're going to do is figure out what that is. What goes in the box? -6, good. All right. And then with that being -6, the next thing you can do is figure out what goes in here. +6. And then you know that, all right, they have to be balanced, right? So that's cool. And then the last thing you do is figure out, all right, how do I get 6 from 2? I can only multiply whole digits. 3, right? So then you put a 3 up here. All right? So it's kind of like you're working counterclockwise. No, you're working clockwise to figure it out. All right? And then now you just throw it in here. And then you're done. All right? So the only reason we did all of that was just to figure out what goes in the Roman numeral, what the Roman numeral is. All right? Does that make sense? Yeah? All right, cool. It was good that we started on one that actually had some multiples in here because you can see that it can be difficult to do it in your head. After you do it a bunch, it does get easier. But again, I really recommend that you write everything out for this. All right? For example, this one is pretty easy to do in your head. All right, but I'm going to still write it out. What's Ni? Nickel. All right, nickel, we don't know. And then what's chlorine? Chloride, good. All right. And what's chloride's charge in the periodic table? -1. Well, this one's pretty easy because everything's 1, right? There's 1 nickel, there's 1 chloride, it's -1. So what does nickel have to be? 1. It has to be 1 to balance it out, right? So that's how you can do some of them, in your head because it all kind of works out. Now, if we did write it out, it would just be a bunch of 1s, right? Because we know that's -1. We know these are 1s, even though it's not written, we know they're 1s. So that's going to give us negative, what did I just do? What am I doing? Uh-oh. That's going to give us -1. That has to be +1 to balance out, right? Because that'll equal 0. So then 1 times 1 gives you 1. All right, so it still kind of works. Some of them you can just do in your head, all right? All right, next one. Let's take a look at this. CO and then O. All right, CO. What's that one? Name. Cobalt. And then the next word? Oxide, good. All right, so there's 1 of each of them again, so that's going to make it easier. What's the charge of oxygen? -2, so again, we start up there. -2 times 1 is -2. This has to be +2, and then up here has to be +2 as well. All right, so whenever it's 1 to 1, whatever this charge is the same but opposite. All right, and then we have PBS. All right, the Public Broadcasting Service. All right, PB, and then S2. PB is lead, good. We don't know what it is, and then S is sulfide, good. Not sulfate, right? If it was sulfate, it would be SO4, right? This is sulfide. Okay, so let's figure out some charges. What's sulfide's charge? -2. -2 times 2 is -4, and that means that this has to be +4. All right, what's going to go up on the top? That's right, it's going to be +4, right? Because this was a 1. And there's your 4.